Okay, everybody, am I on now? Okay. Am I on? Okay, we're okay, everybody. We're trying to get things figured out here between Gary and me. Anyway, welcome all to the National Western Texas Longhorn Show, 2023 Texas Longhorn Show. uh, Welcome everybody. We have around on the bleachers somewhere. We should have programs. Has everybody got a program? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Does anybody have a program? Are the programs out? Um, is, hold on a second. Okay, well, everybody should have a program. If you don't, we'll get you one somehow or other. And then we're ready to start the show. In the program, I'd like you to look, in the schedule for the Longhorn Show is on the first page here. And today is Friday the 20th, and we're starting with our non-haltered show. Our first class is class 102. And okay, Lana, come here a minute. Okay, we are going to start the show with the singing of the national anthem. Gary Lake and Marlene Lake are going to sing the anthem for us. So here.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that we get to do in agriculture and in rodeo and the great Western way of life is not only to honor this flag of this great nation, and I wish we had one. You're going to have to make believe a little bit there. Honor the flag of this great nation. If you'll stand and remove cover, and then right after this, we'll open with an invocation and ask the Lord to bless what we do today. This is my partner in crime, Marlene Lake. She makes me sound good and makes me look better. Thankful for all of you being here today. You're going to enjoy the Longhorn Show. Sing with us. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly Well, if you'll remain standing, we'll ask the creator of these wonderful cattle that we get to show today to bless the proceedings today. Heavenly Father, we're sure thankful to be here with this crowd of folks at the National Western, one of the greatest livestock shows in the nation. Father, we're thankful to be able to raise this type of cattle in this beautiful country. Lord, we just ask as we begin the show today that you make it fun for everyone, Lord, that you make it safe for everyone, that every animal, every handler, everyone watching would have a good time today, and we'll be sure to give you the praise and the honor for it in the precious name of the Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, thank you. We're ready to start the first class, but before we do that, I would like to introduce our judge. Our judge is Dr. June Corn. Dr. Corn has been an active member of the Longhorn Association for many years, and she's from North Stewart-Straff, Virginia. There's a whole biography about her in the beginning of the program. I'd encourage you to read that. I've known June for many years through the International Texas Longhorn Association, and she is a very accomplished judge in the Texas Longhorn industry.
You know, John, Dr. June is not only an amazing judge, but she's one of our training judges in the ITLA. And for those of you in the crowd that are going to be doing some self-judging today, about 2 times a year we have some training seminars for Texas Longhorn judges that you can do online, and Dr. June's one of your training judges. You might become one yourself one of these days. It's a fun project and gives you a little better look at your own cattle as well as those of others.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm John Nelson. I've been the announcer for this show. I was a co-announcer with Jim Siwis ever since we got started on it. And then Gary Lake is my co-announcer here. There's a little biographical data of both of us on here. One thing I do want to point out is Gary has a hard and fast rule of never letting the truth get in the way of a good story. So, okay, it looks like our judge is ready to announce the winners of this first class.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for inviting me to the National Western Stock Show. This is my first time to spend time in Denver. I thought I lived in the mountains, and the mountains outside of my house are 3,000 feet high, so it's nice to be here in the Mile High City. We've got a really nice group of young heifers today. These are the youngest ones that we can show. They're May heifers from this past year. We're going to start the class today with this beautiful speckled heifer, the entry number 103. You really have to admire her frame and her height, and she carries a lot of volume. If you look how thick how deep she carries her chest and out through into her flank, certainly very structurally sound. Nice base on her horns. At this stage in their lives, the horns are just starting to grow, and I think she certainly has appropriate horn for her age. Our second place heifer was going to be the white with the brindle there on the far side of the ring. That's entry 102. Again, you really have to appreciate her cleanliness. Maybe in a little lighter body condition than the heifer that wins our class. Again, how clean and feminine she is. Our third place heifer will be the entry number 101. Beautiful heifer. Actually, of all 3 of them out here, she has the most horn development at this stage. She just gives up a little size and frame to the ones that are above her, but Certainly, again, a nice class of heifers. Let's give all these breeders a big hand.
Okay, the results of our first class.
Okay.
In first place was Cowboy. Okay, first place is Cowboy, owned by Silverado Ranch. That's Gary Lake and Stan Searle. Second place is Nancy Dancer, and that's owned by Travis Casey in Yoder, Colorado. And in third place was Cloud Top. That's owned by Travis Casey, also from Yoder, Colorado. Okay, I want to call everybody's attention to the raffle. We have a raffle here, and I think it's what is it? What is it? $1 a ticket? One $1 for one ticket. Is that correct?
6 tickets for $5.
Okay, it's $1 a ticket. You get 6 tickets for $5. Or 12 for 10. Okay. And that also translates to 24 for $20. So, and that's a pretty good deal. I want to point out that the proceeds of the raffle go to supporting the youth show. And the youth, of course, is the future of our industry. And we need to support them as well as we can. We have Class 102 in here now. And Class 102 will have 8 heifers in it. This is, there are 8 in there. The class is complete. These are heifers born March 1st to April 30th of 2022. So still young gals out there. They're a real nice looking bunch of heifers here. They're really colorful, and one thing about the Longhorns, you see they very athletic animals. There they are, prancing around, jumping around, not just lumbering in like Herefords and Angus do. They also get a little skittish with each other too, as you can see.
John, let's tell them a little bit about the value of the Texas Longhorn. You know, after the Civil War, when this nation was hungry and folks had been coming home from the war, ranches, fences were down, and cattle were out, there was a fellow named Charles Goodnight that came back to his pastures in northern Texas, and he found 5,000 or 6,000 head of horned cattle on the place and decided they needed to be moved, and the price in Texas was pretty poor. So he and a partner, Oliver Loving, put together about 6,000 head and began to drive them north, eventually to right here in Denver, Colorado. But they stopped on the way at a government refuge there in New Mexico and sold several hundred head to the government, averaged about 8 cents a pound. Now that was 4 times what they were bringing in Texas at the time. And then they drove them on what they didn't sell. Oliver Loving drove them on into Denver and into the stockyards where the railways were now getting completed, and they could take them to the East Coast and up to the northern cities that needed fed. Just a few years ago, my partner Stan Searle and I drove a herd of Longhorn cattle right through the same part of downtown that Goodnight and Loving would have come through. The only difference is, instead of 8 cents a pound, they averaged more than $6 a pound for the value of the cattle that we drove through. The Longhorn has come a long way. And if that isn't enough, this last year in Duncan, Oklahoma, a 5-year-old female Longhorn cow sold for $700,000 at auction, or about an average of $700 a pound. Well, the amazing Longhorn, I hope we helped you understand what the value of some of these cattle are that you're looking at. Well, Dr. June, I'm glad you're judging this class instead of me. That's a tough class of heifers you're looking at out there. I was just asked a question, and probably I need to answer it to the whole crowd. What is Dr. June Corin judging on today? What does she look for in these Longhorn heifers? Well, I'll tell you that there's 4 basic points criteria that you're looking at. First of all, conformation, and that's the case with any bovine animal. You're looking for good backs, good udders, good hips, strong legs, clean top lines, clean underlines. There's a lot of different points to conformation, but that certainly is one of the points they judge on. And then in the Texas Longhorn breed, we have some unique points like color. There's sellable colors, wild colors. The wilder color, the more the speckles, the more they bring at auction. So there's some value created by wild-colored cattle. And then, of course, because we are the Longhorn breed, it makes sense that the longer the horns, the more value they have, which is certainly the case in the Longhorn industry. The cow that sold for $700,000 this year was a 5-year-old that was already over 100 inches tip to tip. So she's looking at horn, tip-to-tip measurement, horn shape, horn size, horn base. She's looking at conformation. She's looking at color. And I don't know about Dr. June, but when I'm judging, I look a little bit at disposition too. These are these are party cattle. Folks like to come into the pasture and feed them out of your hand and just enjoy them. And so one that's a little bit standoffish, a little bit wild, isn't as much fun to have around as one that wants to come up and act like a show goat and eat cake out of your hand. So there's a lot of diversity in Longhorn cattle that they're judging on. And we've got one of the best judges in the industry today, and it looks to me like she's done.
Thank you. It's nothing like starting off the show with an awesome class of cattle that really has to make you think. We've got a lot of different types of Longhorns out here. Again, all of them are lovely cattle, and they'll work in any herd. Like Gary was saying, we look for different things. These are beef cattle. So we're looking for conformation. You have to have a level top line and be square on your legs. But they're also Texas Longhorns, and there are certain Texas Longhorn traits that we look for. Longhorns have to have long horns. Now, we know these cattle here are not even a year old yet, so there's going to be a whole lot of growth that's going to take place over the next couple of years. A lot of changes. It's always interesting to watch junior heifers throughout the show season. This is the first show of this year, and by the September and October shows, a lot of these heifers will be totally different. This class may be placed differently in another 6 months as these girls grow and develop. We're going to start today, if you'll run this little red spotted heifer out, with the number 208 heifer. I think she's a very complete female. She certainly has nice horn development for her age. She's a very large framed heifer. Again, she's got a lot of volume. She carries spring through her rib, down around, down underneath. She carries her volume out through her flank. If I could change her a little bit, I'd maybe clean up some of the loose hide under her neck. But it's been my experience that a lot of these girls, they grow into that. So she'll be our class winner today. Our second place female is this larger black and white heifer, the 201 heifer that's coming across there. And you certainly, again, you have to admire her level top line. She's carrying a good condition. She's a nice, heavily muscled heifer. Again, she's pretty clean, very feminine looking. If I could change her just a touch, I'd like to level those horns out a little bit. They're maybe going up, but you can see they're starting to twist back, and she'll be fun to watch as she develops and as her horns develop. Our third place female is entry number, can't read my own writing, 205. And I believe it's this red heifer over here. Again, she really follows the patterns of the heifer above, the two above her. You really have to admire her length. Look at her length from her shoulders out to her hips, and then a lot of length through that hind end down to her pins. Nice, beautiful level top line. Again, she, clean, feminine. I like the way her horns are laying. I like that they're down, they're out, and laying to the outside. She's a real pretty heifer. Follows the two ladies that are above her. Our fourth place winner is entry number 209. set the speckled black and white one there, I believe. Okay, she's one of the red ones up here. There she is. We'll run her out so you can see her. So again, we're starting to lose a little bit of our frame size. There's not a lot of variation in the age. These girls are within 60 days of one another in age. I like her height. I think she's going to end up being a pretty big framed cow. And again, you know, I like the way that her horns are laying out nice and flat. Our fifth place animal is entry number 204. I believe 204 is one of the smaller frame brindle heifer over here. This heifer gives up a little bit of her frame size. She's not too small, but she's certainly a little bit smaller. But again, look at her horn development. Again, like I like to see, they're laying out nice and flat. Look at the base that's on these horns. They're just nice, thick base. You know you're going to get some good-sized horns out of this girl. Our sixth place heifer is the 203, the black and white spotted heifer. A little larger framed, but again, just a real pretty heifer. Again, if I could change her, I'd change the shape of her horns just a little bit, but she's a nice, complete heifer. Our seventh place female is entry number 202, which is somewhere over here. I believe it. 202 doesn't have a tag. It's this one right here. And again, you have to appreciate she's maybe a little smaller framed, but I like her horn development. She has more horn development than the other heifers that round out the class. Again, if I could lay them down a little bit, that'd be great. But she's going to have some real pretty horns, probably more of a traditional horn where they go up and out as opposed to just out. And then our eighth place winner is this really friendly heifer that's back here. She's very sweet. Again, conformationally quite sound. She just gives up on the horn development today from the heifers that are above her. So let's put our hands together for these breeders. They've really given me a nice class of heifers to work with today. You can bring them all, that's fine.
Okay, well, the results for class 102. First place is number 208. It's owned by Toby Johnson. And
Good job, tough class. And by the way, Daryl says he likes your hat.
and second place is number 201. It's owned by Jordan Jarnigan of Deerfield, Kansas. Third place is number 205, owned by Scott O'Brien from Belvedere, South Dakota. Fourth place is number 209. It's owned by Travis Casey in Calhoun, Colorado, or Yoder. Fifth place is number 204, also owned by Travis Casey. Sixth place is number 203. It's owned by Martin's Mad Blonde Ranch, Matthew Martins. Seventh place is number 202. It's owned by Virginia Martins, from Wiggins, Colorado. And eighth place is number 207, owned by Jeff Widows, Johnstown, Colorado.
So we're now going to select our junior heifer champion. These are our two class winners from the first two classes. There's about almost exactly 60 days difference in their age. We're going to use the older heifer as our division champion. Again, you really have to admire the horn development that's on this heifer, and she's certainly very complete. Nice, again, plenty of volume and capacity there in this beautiful heifer. They've brought in our second place winner from the class. I'm going to use the younger heifer as our reserve champion. I really like this little heifer. Again, 60 days when you're only 8 months old is a lot of time. I like her horn development. I love her color. And I think she's just a really, really pretty, very complete female. So our junior division champion will be entry number 208, and our reserve will be entry 103. Again, let's put our hands together for these breeders. They're beautiful cattle.
Dr. Corn, if you have any trouble with this class, I'd be glad to help.
Whew, my brain can rest a minute. That's not a bad thing. So this is a heifer that was born. She's just a little over, she's what, 14 months old now. She was born in November of 21. So she's a single entry. She'll be first place. We can talk a little bit about the Longhorns, though, here. Now, we've talked about how the horns grow as they get older. Again, you can see a marked difference in this heifer's horn development as compared to the heifers that we had out in our junior division where they were like 4 months younger. Real pretty, very feminine heifer. Again, you got to appreciate all the speckles and the color that's on her. I tell everybody, I really like ice cream, and I like Longhorns. But if you add whipped cream and a cherry to my ice cream, I like that even more. So if I add lots of speckles and spots to my Longhorns, that's like an ice cream sundae with lots of toppings. So we've got to admire that with all the spots. Very pretty heifer, and she'll be our class winner. Again, let's give a round of applause to her breeders.
I want to remind you real quick that we do have a raffle going on. It's a jackpot raffle, so somebody's going to win some cash if they win it. Half of it's going to go to the youth program, and half of it will go to your pocket. The lady walking there in the kind of greenish blue, I don't know whatever color that is, vest and black hat is going to be selling them to you. 1 for $1, 6 for $5, or 12 for $10. Take a chance on winning your money back. This is your chance to go home with some change in your pocket and donate to the youth program at the same time. Your winner of Class 104 was entry 401, owned by Travis Casey of Callahan, Colorado. She will come back for the Grand and Reserve judging, so she's not done just because she was the single in the class. We're on class number 105. This is heifers born May 1st through August 31st, class 105. Now in this older class of females, you're getting to see some of the horn development. You can see some of what we talk about in the beautiful color. As they get older, it seems like that color just gets brighter and more speckles as they go. So you're watching these heifers develop right in front of your eyes. And Dr. June Corrin is going to tell you which ones are developing the best because she knows them inside out.
Well, again, a real pretty nice class of heifers here. I think everyone that brought an animal in should just be very proud. They're, again, a little different, but there's really complete heifers out here. We're going to start the class today with the big heifer over on the far side, entry number 505. Certainly the largest framed heifer in the class. I really like getting in behind this heifer and looking at the width that she carries across her hips. Nice top line there, you know, beautiful, beautiful heifer. And then when you start looking at her horn development, she has a lot of base, a lot of length to her horn. Just again, very, very complete female. She's clean when you look there at her belly, no umbilicus hanging down. She looks great. The next pair, I think you could probably switch them back and forth and not really upset anybody about it. I picked today on my preference. We're going to use the entry number 504, the speckled heifer closest to me, as our second place female, and 501 will be third. So when you look at these two girls, obviously, I don't know that you can get much more colorful than this. The tricolored spots on both heifers are just fantastic. You know, the 501 heifer is kind of a little strawberry roan going there. I like the length of body of our second place heifer. Again, when you look at her, looking at her length of rib from there at her shoulder out to her hip, and then the length from the hip down to the pins, she's just really nice. She's very smooth and very complete. I like her horn development. It is not as long as the third place heifer, but it's still very nice. This third place heifer obviously has fantastic horns. They're going out with nice lateral growth. She just gives up a little bit of length of body and kind of fits real nice right into our third place slot. This little heifer that comes in fourth, I shouldn't call her a little heifer because she's not a little heifer. She's a beautiful heifer. She's just overpowered out here. Same thing, you've got to really admire her horn development. She's got beautiful base to her horns. She is certainly very clean, a nice level top line there. She just gets a little overpowered out here in the ring. But again, let's put our hands together for this lovely class of senior heifers.
Okay, the results of this show, of this class rather. In first place, we had Spanish Iron, owned by Travis Casey of Yoder, Colorado. Second place was Windy Point Porsche, owned by Lana Pearson of Fowler, Colorado. Third place was Windy Point Van Canal, number 501, owned by Lana Pearson, Fowler, Colorado. And fourth place was number 503, Cowgirl Jubilee, owned by Travis Casey in Yoder, Colorado. So we thank them for bringing some very nice heifers.
Okay, congratulations to the winners of Class 105. Class 106 will be coming into the ring now. This is going to be your heifers born January 1st through April 30th of 2021. So they're just now coming 2-year-olds. Heifers born January 1 through April 30, 2021. This is Class 106.
Okay, I'd like to bring everybody's attention to the program on page 5. There we have listed some important people and organizations. These are the people who are sponsored the buckles and the show and the youth show, and without them we would not be able to afford to put this on. First of all, I'd like to mention the show sponsors. You can turn the page to page 6. And on page 6, you'll see the ads for the 2 show sponsors. One is the International Texas Longhorn Association, which is one of the registries for the Texas Longhorn. And the other is FNBO, which was started out. It was First National Bank of Fort Collins, and then they were bought up by First National Bank of Omaha. They've been sponsors of the Longhorn Show for many years, and we appreciate them. For the non-haltered show, which is what we're on today, the buckles for the the buckles go to the grand champions, and for the heifers, it's Corianti Buckle Company, and they have an ad also in the program. And for mature cows, it's Christina Abbey of Raymond James and Associates. She took over when Mike Trinan passed away, and they've been doing financial planning up in Fort Collins for many years. For the bulls, it's Brunello LLC. Tom Smith is the manager. And for the steers, the buckle sponsor is Clover Bloom Ranch. John and Darlene Nelson, that's my wife down there and me. Darlene is keeping the records of who's winning here and there. For the haltered show tomorrow, the buckle sponsor for the bulls is the Walter Scott Jr. College of Engineering at Colorado State University. Walter Scott was the president of Peter Kiewit, and he gave around $51 million to the College of Engineering to support them, build a new building and all. For the heifers, there's the Freeman and Jarnigan Partnership, which is a partnership between the Freeman Ranch in Yoder, Colorado, and T-Squared Ranch in Holcomb, Kansas. And then for the mature cows is the PNC cattle chutes from Stillwell, Oklahoma. PNC is the official chute of the Longhorn chute of the International Texas Longhorn Association. I have two of them, and those are the best chutes I've ever seen for working Longhorn cattle. For the youth show sponsors, one is Travis Casey, Casey Ranch Longhorns from Yoder, Colorado. And the other is David and Jody Faley from Sedalia, Colorado. Now, we have, in order to provide a little extra payout for the winners of the classes, we have class sponsors, and they sponsor some additional funds to provide that. Special thanks go to Mike and Kelly Smith of Cold Copper Ranch. They have sponsored all the all the classes in the non-haltered show today. So you'll see in your program under the non-haltered classes, there will be a class sponsored by Mike and Kelly Smith. Special thanks to them. They got an ad on the back page, on the back cover, so please take a look at that. That's a special one. And other class sponsor, Travis Casey, has sponsored two of the haltered classes tomorrow. So anyway, I finished the sponsors. I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed judge.
Well, thank you, John. And I've put on many a show on the East Coast. You cannot do it without sponsorship. So thank you, everybody that helped to contribute to this. This is a beautiful class of, again, senior heifers out here today. These are our older senior heifers. They're 2-year-olds now. One of the things that they're very loud. One of the things that we do ask of our Longhorns is that they need to be productive. They have to be producing females. These girls are not required to be bred yet at this stage, but likely they are. In the ITLA, we do have a requirement that they have to be in production by the time they're 30 months old. So these girls are pushing 24 months, and most of them are probably bred. And again, you're getting to see a good representation of what an older heifer looks like in our Longhorn breed. We're going to start the class today with the 602 heifer here. Again, you really have to admire her frame size. She's got really nice horns coming on. She's really nice on her feet and legs. If you look, her hooves are short. She's up on her toes. She moves out really well. If I was going to change anything about her, she may have a little bit more navel flap than some of the others. I don't think it's inappropriate, but it's just she's maybe not quite as clean as some of the other heifers in the class, but she certainly wins our class today. Our second place heifer is going to be the entry number 603 right here. Again, you really have to admire her length of body, and she has really nice horn development. She's got a really nice base on that horn, a lot of volume out through that rib cage. And same thing, as we look at her feet and her legs, she's up on her toes, really nice way her angles are at her pasterns, and she's up on her toes, real pretty female. Third place will be the red and white heifer that's getting chased right now. That's our entry number 206. Look at the base on this heifer's horns, a huge base on these horns. Lot of strength there. Maybe not quite the tip to tip yet, but it'll come. Again, a lot of volume there. I'm a little critical of her feet. She's likely been housed somewhere where it's a little soft. Her toes are a little bit long. Just kind of makes her drop a little bit on her pasterns today. Our fourth place female certainly has a very interesting shape to her horn. She's got horns that are going kind of down, almost like a scoop style horn. She just gives up a little bit of size today to the ones that are in front of her. Maybe like to level out her top line just a little bit, and same thing, maybe get her up on her toes just a little bit more. But again, a real pretty cow. She's going to be fun to watch and see her horns as they continue to develop, because they're going to probably be really low and scoop out as they go. So again, let's put our hands together for all the breeders that have animals in this class.
Okay, the results of that class are first place was Windy Point Penny Calvin, owned by Lana Pearson of Fowler, Colorado. Second place was number 603, nice little heifer named Full Stop. It's owned by Travis Casey in Yoder, Colorado. Third place was Song of the West, owned by Nikki Adams. And fourth place was Windy Point Sasha Puma, owned by Toby Johnson of Bighorn, Wyoming.
Congratulations again to your class winners in class number 106. Class number 107 will be coming into the ring. Class number 107, these are first calf heifers born in the year 2020. Again, in this last class, you saw some diversity in the horn growth and the horn shape of these Longhorn cattle. You know, we are a Longhorn breed, so horn means quite a bit, and it has value at the sale ring. What they're looking for in horn is everything from horn base to tip measurement to horn shape. A lot of the shape of the horn at a young age can tell you a little bit about what they're going to look like at an older age. We have horn measurings in the Texas Longhorn breed, where they do a tip-to-tip measurement, and then they do what's called a total horn measurement, which is down along the curve of the horn from one tip to the other and around the curve of the head. And then they have a composite measurement, which includes the horn base size as well as the total horn and the tip-to-tip measurement. And that's one of the points we're judging the Texas Longhorn on, and a very important point. If you're purchasing them at a sale, the tip-to-tip horn measurement shows you what the trophies are in the breed and who really is interested in them. You notice John's wearing a pretty nice cowboy hat here. I mean, that's what we call them, cowboy hats, right? You can call them Western hats or Stetsons, but most of the world calls them cowboy. You know why they call them cowboy hats?
Well, this is a cowboy hat. Now, I wanted to tell you a little story about up by Virginia Dale up in Wyoming, and there was this cowboy standing out by the railroad station up there, and this man and his young son came by and said, I want you to pay attention to the dress on that cowboy. And the cowboy said, yeah, I got to point out some important things here. He says, I have this big hat, and the hat protects me from the sun and the rain and when I'm out riding on the range. He said, I have these heavy gloves on because they protect my hands if we're riding in brush and stuff and it gets caught on the bushes and the brush. He says, I have this neckerchief around my neck. I can take that neckerchief off and cover my face and keep the dust out and so on. It keeps the sun off my neck. I have these chaps that I'm wearing here. They protect my legs when I'm riding in the brush, and so I don't have to worry about getting all scratched up by the thorns and whatever. And then I wear these tennis shoes so people don't think I'm a truck driver.
Well, that helps you outrun that mad bull too, wouldn't it? Well, you know, we think of the trail hands of the 1800s, and about 1866 was the first great trail drive out of the panhandle of Texas when Goodnight and Loving brought them from way down in Texas to up here in Denver, Colorado, and then on to Cheyenne to the railways sometimes. But, you know, we think of those old trail drive hands as being crusty old hands that been around quite a while. But this was right after the Civil War, and some of those men had died in the Civil War. Some of them left families at home, and many of those young men that drove those trail drives, drove those cattle up here to Denver, were very young men, 12 to 14 years old, some of them, out there gathering cattle in the brush in North Texas and then driving them north. Therefore, the term cowboy came about because of those young men that took it upon themselves to feed their families and others by bringing cattle north out of the panhandle of Texas. And though we've got cowboy hats today, I guess they're not cowboy hats with us, they're cow old guy hats with us. But well, here's your first class where you're getting to see some Longhorn babies. This time of year, it's a little unusual in this country to have calves on cows. Of course, some of these cows come from warmer country, from different places, and even some of them from right here in Colorado that have got some late calves on them. But you get to see what these Longhorn females actually do. They're very productive, very good mothers, got great little udders that produce a little bit of milk with a very high butterfat content and will wean off some beautiful big calves. One of the historical traits of the Texas Longhorn is they calve easily. You'll look at some of these little calves, and some of them were probably born in the 50 to 60 pound range. They had narrow foreheads and small knees and narrow through the shoulders. And these mothers had no problem calving these calves out, and even in the toughest weather. And yet, with that high butterfat content in the milk and these small udders, these Longhorns can raise some 500 to 600 pound weaning weights in the fall. Incredible, incredible females in the Texas Longhorn breed.
Gary, I think you guys are kind of like we are. We try to calve in better weather in Virginia. Where I live, it does get cold, and we try to do the same. So it is nice to see some baby calves. We've got a brand new baby calf there, and then we've got a couple that were born back in the fall. This is an interesting group of cows, and again, as you're watching, look at the difference in the horn development that a year makes. Our cattle really lay the horn down in the first 5 years of their life. They grow, inches a month. And as we look at these cattle, you can really see what what the Longhorn breed is all about. We're going to start the class today with this heifer here, or this cow here in front of me, first calf heifer, 704. If you want to see some massive horns on a 3-year-old cow, come out, get up close and take a look at this one. Unbelievable base on her, incredible tip-to-tip measurement, and she's a darn good cow. She is a big-framed girl. She's got a beautiful level top line. One of the things that we look for in Longhorns is actually some angulation from the hooks down to the pins. What that does is it changes the angle of the pelvis, and it actually opens up, that's fine, it opens up the floor to make it easier for the calves to get through. And as Gary was alluding to, Longhorn calves are generally small. They have small heads and narrow shoulders, and it's unusual for us to have calving difficulties. If I was going to change that cow at all, I'm a little critical of her feet. She needs to have her feet trimmed. I would think she's probably from California, where they've been having all that rain. I don't know that it rains that much out here in Colorado, but I'd be a little critical of her feet. But she's certainly a really pretty and complete cow with a nice calf. She got put up before we got to take a look at her udder, but again, she has a really pretty, nice, tight udder. Teats the size of your thumb, it's level, and she's doing a nice job with her calf. The heifer over here must know she needs to go back to the pen next, because she is our second place female. This 705 is our second place female. So she is not nursing a calf at the present time. She's in a little heavier condition than the other females because she's not working. But man, when you look at her horn development, this is beautiful. This is what I look for at home. Again, big complete cow, big framed cow, a lot of width, a lot of bone to her. And then when you look at her horns, the back, out, forward, up, and out, they're beautiful. So she'll be our second place female. Our third place female is going to be our black and white cow with the little speckled calf here. Again, now this girl's in her working clothes. She's not in as much body condition, but again, beautiful horn set on this black and white cow. Nice level top line. She's very clean, very feminine. Same thing, when you get to look at her udder, it's a beautiful udder, nice and tight, good small teats, and she's doing a nice job with her calf. Our fourth place female will be the 703. And again, this girl's kind of in her working clothes. I like her tip-to-tip horn development. Again, nice, beautiful udder with her. She just gives up a little bit of size and a little bit of bone. And our fifth place female is going to be the one here behind me, the 701. Again, real pretty horn set on her. She just gives up a little bit of length of body, maybe a little bit of volume there, but certainly a very pretty, very speckled heifer with some beautiful horns. So again, let's congratulate all of the breeders here for these beautiful cows.
We're going to give you another chance to buy raffle tickets if you'd like to. She's still down there in the front row. They're $1 a piece. 6 for $5 or 12 for $10. It's to benefit the youth organization in the Texas Longhorn breed, and also you're going to get some jackpot money back from it. So put a little jingle in your pocket before you leave here today. Get you a raffle ticket.
Okay, the results for Class 107. In first place was Polka Dot, owned by Jordan Jarnigan in Deerfield, Kansas. Second place is number 705, Sissel, owned by Toby Johnson, Bighorn, Wyoming. Third place was El Puento, owned by Travis Casey, Yoder, Colorado. Fourth place was 703, Lady Games, owned by Travis Casey, Yoder, Colorado. And fifth place was number 701, TCR Corona Rita, owned by Jeff and Jordan Winnows in Johnstown, Colorado.
Okay, what you're looking at now is we're judging champion and reserve champions senior heifers. So your first and second places from each of your groups has come back in. She's going to judge champion first. Then when she pulls one out, we'll bring the second place from that group in, and she'll judge reserve champion on your senior heifer classes. You know, there's some folks behind the scene that kind of make this run, and Travis Casey, one of the folks that brought some cattle to the show, he's also the president of the Mountain States Texas Longhorn Association, is out there in the pens making sure that we get cattle in on time, the right numbers for the classes, and make sure the judge has got what she needs to judge a show and move us along. So we just appreciate him and his crew of misfits out there that don't mind wading around in the mud and the cold and doing this just for you. Could have a nice show in here.
On page 8 of your program, there are two ads there. One is from the Mountain States Texas Longhorn Association, which is an affiliate of the International Texas Longhorn Association, one of the sponsors of this show. And the other one is Mountains and Plains Texas Longhorn Association, which is an affiliate of the Texas Longhorn Breeders Association of America. One thing that is particularly unique about this show is that this is one of the only, I think it is the only show in the United States that is shown cooperatively between the International Texas Longhorn Association and the Texas Longhorn Breeders Association of America. This is the only show in which those two associations cooperate.
I think we just had a spoiler alert in the arena. Our champion today is going to be, that's okay, we're all about time efficiency. Our champion today is going to be this big horned cow, this number 704. She is just a really nice, complete cow. You're getting a chance to see her again. She penned herself very quickly, but look at the horns on this cow. This is incredible for a 3-year-old cow. You know, I've already talked a little bit about her foot structure. But as I was looking and trying to make my decision, this cow was just too good to not put up. And if she was at a sale and I looked at her, I would buy her and take her home and trim her feet. I think she'll be fine. That would be the one thing that I would love to change on her just a little bit out here in today's ring. But she will be our senior heifer champion today. So we brought back in our second place winner out of the class that this heifer was in, and she is going to be our reserve champion as well. When we get into this age of females, a year makes a huge difference. And we're looking at, particularly this black and white female over here, as we compare her to the 705 heifer. Again, there's a year difference in the age, and it's just hard not to put up this beautiful brown, structurally sound, nice level top line with fantastic horn female. So our 705 will be our reserve champion senior heifer. Again, let's put our hands together for these folks.
Okay, the champion non-haltered senior heifer is number 704. Again, that's Polka Dot, owned by Jordan Jarnigan of Deerfield, Kansas. And reserve champion non-haltered senior heifer was number 705, which is Sissel, owned by Toby Johnson of Bighorn, Wyoming. Now the judge is going to judge the champion senior heifer against the champion junior heifer, and from those two, she would pick the grand champion non-haltered heifer. And then the whoever is number one on that one, the reserve of her group will be brought in and judged against the champion of the other champion, and that will choose the reserve champion, reserve grand champion. You see, a grand champion is a champion that is judged by between two other champions. So then she becomes the grand champion.
So the grand champion is the champion of the champions. Kind of like Muhammad Ali. Now this is where it gets a little tougher because our judge is judging quite a bit of age difference between these heifers. And there's a lot of things to look at as she's doing that. It's hard to tell sometimes when these young'uns are going to be when they grow up. We expect a lot out of all of them.
So we're now just picking our overall heifer champions. Though, again, this is a heifer that has a calf, so it's a first calf heifer. She will be our champion today. Again, we've talked about her individually, and you just can't get past that magnificent set of horns that's on her head. And, again, she's just a nice, complete cow. 2 years makes a lot of difference. And I'm real pleased with these heifers that we have out here. These little yearlings are beautiful. They're going to do fantastic. It's going to be fun to show them this summer, and they're going to win a lot of stuff. It's just hard with the age difference for a yearling to beat a 3-year-old female. So the 705 will be our overall reserve grand champion. So we've talked about them. They're really pretty, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and see these nice cattle. So thank you, guys. Thanks for bringing me such a beautiful set of heifers.
Well, we appreciate all the great heifers that folks brought us today. But your overall grand champion non-haltered heifer is going to be number 704. That's Polka Dot, owned by Jordan Jarnigan of Deerfield, Kansas. And your overall reserve champion is number 705. That's Sissel. She's owned by Toby Johnson of Bighorn, Wyoming. Now we're going to move into our female class, number 108, females born in 2019. Now, some of these have calves, some of them don't, but they're all productive females, so they wouldn't be here. This time of year, many, many females in this country will have the calves weaned off of them by now and be maybe several months pregnant, working on next spring. This is your class number 108, females born in 2019.
Well, again, as you can see, we're really moving into some bigger, more mature cattle here. These are 2019 model females, some with calves, and like I say, the others are bred. They do have to be bred to be here. So they're all in production now. Again, some different shapes, different styles of cattle, and it kind of depends on your program as to what you like and what you're looking for. Today, I'm going to start the class with this 801 cow. Again, she's a big, massive cow. She's in good condition, and she's got a tremendous set of horns on her head. Big base on them, a lot of tip-to-tip measurement, just a really pretty set of horns. Does she lack a little femininity? Yeah, she's a little coarse through her head. She has a little more navel flap than I'd like to see, but just the absolute power that we see with this cow. I mean, she is just a big, massive Longhorn cow. She wins our class today. Our second place female is going to be the solid red female here, the 802. So I really like the 802 female. Again, when you look at the base that's on her horn, big, massive base of horn. Her horns tend to elevate just a little bit more, but there's a nice twist to them. That twist will add to tip-to-tip measurement, which is, as Gary alluded to, does add to the value of the females. And she's just structurally a big framed cow. She has been in production. You can see, udder development there with her. And she fits real nicely into our second place slot. She's very feminine, very clean on her underline. Our third place female is going to be the 803 that's over here to my left. A little larger calf on her. She's been working hard. Little less body condition than our class winner. But again, a real pretty heifer that, actually, I'll tell you, I wrote these numbers down wrong. I am sorry. This is our fourth place female here. The twisted horn female on this side is actually going to be our third place female. Frame-wise, a little bit bigger framed. We saw a heifer earlier today that's going to have horns that mature like this, the ones that are kind of going down and out like a scoop-type horn. Again, she fits real nicely into our third place slot. Our fourth place female over here has really pretty wide horns, nice tip-to-tip measurement. She's just giving up a lot of frame size today and some body condition, though she does have what appears to be the oldest calf out here. But a real pretty, again, a very nice complete female, just a little smaller framed than the ones that are in the class above her. So let's put our hands together and congratulate these guys, and I'll make sure I actually have the numbers written down properly on my paper.
All right, the results of class number 108. First place goes to number 801. That is owned by Jordan Jarnigan of Deerfield, Kansas. Second place is number 802, owned by Regina Cofield of Boone, Colorado. Third place is number 803. She's owned by Silverado Ranch outside of Colorado Springs. And fourth place is number 804, owned by Lana Pearson of Fowler, Colorado. We're ready for class number 109, females born in 2018. So these are your 4-year-olds coming up, and you'll see quite a bit more horn growth, quite a bit more twist, and some beautiful, beautiful animals in class 109. Okay, let me make a correction. 804 is your third place cow in that class, owned by Lana Pearson of Fowler, Colorado. And 803 is your fourth place cow, owned by Silverado Ranch of Colorado Springs. Okay, we are ready for class number 109. Class number 109, females born in 2018, class 109.
All right, well, we have here for Class 108. Huh? My associate here is ahead of me.
On the next class, we're going to draw for the raffle tickets, so be ready. Have your tickets out handled. Be excited about it. Next class, we'll draw for the raffle.
Well, now we're into some coming 5-year-olds. We're in one of these, the 903 heifer will be 5 years old in April. So, again, beautiful, beautiful cows that are out here. We're going to start the class with the big brindle female here. She's got brindling in her face. Her hair coat is long enough it's a little hard to see it on her body. But this is just a really pretty cow. She's really, really complete. Her top line is just spot on. She has a nice angulation that we're looking for there from her hooks to her pins. She's clean underneath. She's not lactating now, but her teats are nice and small. They're uptight. And then when you walk around to the front of her and you see these beautiful horns that are on her head, she's just a really complete package here today. Again, if I was going to falter a little bit, she looks like she's been on some wet ground. She could stand to have her feet trimmed, but certainly a nice, pretty complete female. The next two heifers, I think there's some give and take on these girls. We're going to use the heifer that's over in the corner, or I don't know why I'm calling them heifers, they are cows. We're going to use the 902 as our second place female. And really, as she moves and you watch her go, she keeps her top line together. She is straight. She's got nice thickness across her hips, and she is good and level from her shoulders back to her hips. If I could change her, I'd like to level those horns out a little bit, but that's a very pretty horn style. There's nothing wrong with it at all. A lot of us in the industry just really like that tip-to-tip development, and she has a lot of total horn length, just not the tip-to-tip. The third place female was this 901, and man, look at those really pretty laterally developing horns on her. She just breaks in her top line more than I would like to see. As she gets to moving, she dips there through that loin. So again, pretty cow. She's certainly very useful, but she just kind of fits into our third place slot today. So again, congratulations to the ranches that brought these beautiful females, and we'll see 903 again in our championship drive.
Okay, for Class 109, in first place was number 903, Fire Charmer, owned by Russell Freeman of Yoder, Colorado. Second place was number 902, W.F. Merlot, owned by Nikki Adams from Colorado Springs. And in third place is number 901, which is HC Latest Gossip, owned by Travis Casey of Yoder, Colorado.
All right, congratulations to your class winners of 109. Class 110 will be coming in next. Females born 2017, between 2015 and 2017. Class 110 will be next, 2015 to 2017 females.
On the last page, just opposite the back cover, inside back cover, there's a very nice ad there for Wellington Grill. Wellington Grill is in Wellington, Colorado, obviously. And down in the lower right-hand corner is a nice picture of John and Donita Comas, who are the owners of Wellington Grill. And with them are two of their most frequent customers at the Wellington Grill, if you might notice and recognize some of them. It's noted that they proudly serve Clover Bloom Ranch Longhorn beef specials, so every once in a while we bring them a little bit of Longhorn beef, and they do Longhorn burgers or Longhorn steaks or whatever. Okay, next is Class 110. These are females born in 2015, 2016, and 2017. There are 5 in the class, and the class is complete. One thing Gary was talking about them, or just a minute.
Okay, I think we're ready to pick our winner for the raffle. And we're going to have Cassie pick a number.
Three, 6, 9, 5, 9, 9, 5.
Did everybody get that? Did everyone hear that? All right. Can the winner meet me over here, please? Thank you, Cassie.
There's a great book that's been written about the Longhorn breed. The title of the book is The Longhorns, and it's written by J. Frank Dobie down in Texas. In there, he talks about how they used to sell cattle or buy cattle in the chaparral. These cattle would be out in the chaparral and the thorns, you know, the thorny, bushy area of Texas. And if I was going to buy some cattle, I'd go to you, and you'd say, well, I got so many acres here, and this is my land. It goes around here and around here. And you go on out, and you got 6 months to figure out how many cattle you think are there. So I'd go out, and I'd ride around with my cowboys, and I'd count cattle and look at cattle and stuff. And I'd come back, and I'd say, well, I figure you got about 1,800 head of cattle there. And I'd say, well, I really think I got 2,000, and so we'd maybe agree on 1,900. So then I would pay you for 1,900 head of cattle. Then I'd have like 6 months or 3 months or whatever is agreed upon, for you to go out, for me to go out and round up those cattle and see how many I could get rounded up. And whatever I rounded up, I got to keep. If I rounded up only 1,500, that was my tough luck. If I rounded up 2,000, 2,100, that's just great. I got to keep all of them. But I got to keep all of the cattle that I could get in that time period. I'd put them together in a herd and drive them up. Now, can you imagine? You'd have about 10 or 12 of these young cowboys riding and bringing them up all that ways, and those cattle were pretty wild. And during the night, they'd have cowboys riding around the herd, and they'd sing to the cattle so that the cattle knew that there were people there. And they'd just sing songs so that it would kind of keep the cattle calmed down and stuff during the night. And that's where a lot of the old cowboy songs came from, like "Get Along, Little Dobie" and things like that. There's a lot of nice books written about it. One book that's really interesting is "Ladder of Rivers." I can't remember who it was written by, but it's written about the Print Olive, the olive ranch, olive outfit. They drove cattle from Texas on up into Nebraska, and they wintered them up in Nebraska. There's some really tough times they had up there. And it's a very interesting book. It's sold by the County Historical Society. I think it's in Lexington, Nebraska.
All right. Again, real pretty set of cows here. Look like a few of them are about ready to calve, probably within the next month or so. They're starting to spring a little bit. So real pretty group of cows. We're going to start with the big red and white cow there, the entry number 1001. She's kind of out there in the middle of the arena. Just a really nice, complete cow. I love the shape of her horns, the twists, and the outward growth. Have to appreciate, again, her volume. She's the one that looks like she's probably going to calve here fairly quickly. But a lot of Springer rib there, a lot of volume. Again, pound-wise, by far and away the heaviest cow out here today. So real pretty female to start our class. Our second place female is going to be the entry number 1005. That's the heifer, the cow that's turning now back towards the kind of mostly white with the dark red spots on her. Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on this 1002 heifer here. She's a little fiery. Let me get these numbers right because one of the cows is missing a tag. 1002 is going to be our second place female, this one right here. 1002 is our second place female. Again, really pretty. You got to love the horn development that's on this female. Maybe not as in a good a condition as some of the other cattle, but we were just talking about that. It is wintertime here in Colorado. She moves out nice. Again, nice length there from her hooks to her pins, and she just fits real nice in our second place. Third place is going to be our little fiery cow over here, the black and white one, and I think that's probably number 1005. She's not wearing a tag. She'll be our third place female. I really like her length of body. She's very smooth. She's nice and level across her top, nice width across her hips. She's just really smooth. And I like her horn shape. I like the out and the twists that are going to the outside. Our fourth place female is going to be this real, not quite as long as our third place cow. Nice base to her horns, just a little different horn pattern where they're tending to lift up a little bit, but a real pretty female. And then our fifth place female is going to be the 1004 over here. Again, real pretty cow, just giving up a little bit of frame size and muscling to the females that are above her. She, again, has real pretty horns, just a little lighter duty cow, but very complete, nice on her feet and legs, and very feminine. So, again, let's put our hands together.
Okay, the results for Class 110. First place was 1001 Shia, owned by Travis Casey of Yoder, Colorado. Second place was number 1002 Dunkers Leote, owned by Martin's Mad Blonde Ranch in Wiggins, Colorado. Third place is 1005 Epoxy, owned by Russell Freeman in Yoder, Colorado. Fourth place was CB Adelita, owned by Jeff and Jordan Winnows in Johnstown, Colorado. And fifth place was 1004 WF Ziggy's Melody, owned by Nikki Adams in Colorado Springs. Next coming out is Class 111. These are the most senior females of the group. These are all females born in 2014 and before. Class 6 in the class, and the class is complete. I want to note again that these classes were all sponsored by Mike and Callie Smith of Cold Copper Ranch, Burnett, Texas. We really appreciate their support for the National Western Texas Longhorn Show.
group right now. This is your senior cow class. Of course, they're beautiful, big twisty horns. Got one with a brand new baby calf that she's being close to that baby. But that's part of it. One of the things that Longhorn cattle are excellent at is taking at a show or whether it's a coyote in the pasture. They've got really nothing wrong at all with this cow's disposition. She's just a good mama. You see the tremendous diversity in the Longhorn female as you're looking at this class. Deep bodies, beautiful color. Some of these with a double and triple twist to their horns, what we call the old Texas twist. The twistier the horns, the fancier the cow. And there's all different styles here in the senior cow class. One of the nice things about the Texas Longhorn breed is this diversity. Everybody loves something different. Some of you like black and white, some of you like white speckled, some of you like the classic red and white or the brindles, some like the flat twisty horns, some like the high rolling horns. You may have some in your herd at home that may not be your favorites, but may be the favorite of somebody that pulls in your driveway. Makes them an easy sell sometimes when you've got different types of cattle.
All right. Well, again, this is a real nice opportunity for everybody to see mature Longhorn cows. We have cows out here that, and then we have some out here that are now almost 9. So again, you can see the longevity that we see in our Texas Longhorns, and the productivity for older cows as they're out and raising calves and working hard every year. We're going to start actually today with the cow that's not the biggest one out here, but this really pretty brindle and white cow with the really wide horns here, the entry number 1101. I just think she's a really complete female. She has a really nice calf. She has a really, really nice calf at side. Her top line is nice and level. She's got a lot of volume. She's really like is her udder. Her udder is just beautiful. Nice teats the size of my thumb. They're nice and square to the ground. And like I said, then when you start to take some other things into account, I love her twisty, wide horns, and I love her color. I'm a sucker for brindles, and this with the white with the speckles and the brindle patches, she's just a beautiful, really complete female in my mind. Our black speckled cow there on the end that doesn't have a switch on her tail. Big framed cow, nice top line. Again, a lot of probably on the scales the heaviest cow in the class today. I love her horn. I love the twist about them. I don't get real upset about cows losing their switches. I live in Virginia. That's not a major issue for us. And it's not something that's inherited. It likely was an accident. Something likely stepped on it or it froze. So I think she's really pretty and is just a but I just like the completeness of the cow that I have in first. Our third place winner is going to be our grandma cow. It's this big black cow here with the big heavy twisted horns. And again, you just have to really admire how a 13-year-old cow is still getting around and looking as good as she does. I love her size. I really love her horn structure. Again, she's likely been out on some soft ground. Her feet are a bit long, and it makes her a little low in her pasterns. Our fourth place winner is the black and white cow, the entry 1103. Again, I like her horns. There's just not quite the diameter of the horn, but it's a nice horn pattern with an outward twist. She's just a big solid cow. Looks like she's going to calve here fairly quickly. Nice solid cow that just sort of follows the pattern. Our fifth place female is going to be the good protective mama, the red and white one with the new baby calf. Again, doing a super nice job with that calf. She's very, very feminine, very clean. As we've alluded to, she's doing her job. She's not mean. She's guarding that baby. And I live in Virginia, but guess what? We have coyotes. And I have lost an Angus calf to coyotes, but I've never lost a Longhorn calf to one. So she's doing her job. If I could change her a little bit, I would maybe level out her udder. But it's certainly nice cow. Our sixth place winner then is this entry number 1104. Again, real pretty cow. She's very structurally sound. She's level. She just gives up a little bit in size and also in horn length to the females that are above her. But again, real pretty. It takes a lot to bring mature cows to a show, so let's give these breeders an exceptionally large hand. It's a lot to move these big cows around.
Okay, in first place is 1101 Windy Point Penelope, owned by Lana Pearson in Fowler, Colorado. Second place is Just Dragon Iron, owned by Jordan Jarnigan in Deerfield, Kansas. Third place is Renegar, owned by Russell Freeman in Yoder, Colorado. Fourth place is 1103 Jam and Dancer, owned by Regina Caulfield. In fifth place is 1102 Mandolin Rain, owned by Toby Johnson in Bighorn, Wyoming. And in sixth place is TC in Colorado Springs.
Well, congratulations, winners. And that does it for our cow classes. We're going to do Grand and Reserve in your seniors. Then we're going to do Grand Champion in your cow classes. And up and coming, you can see them standing here in the bullpen, is going to be your future champions as these young bulls start coming in next. This will be the Grand Champion, the Champion Reserve, and Grand and Reserve champions for your cow classes, senior cow.
Okay, I want to point out, and if you look on the front page on the schedule, you'll see that there's a banquet for the National Western Texas Longhorn Show. It's going to be held at Mickey's Top Sirloin, which is at 6950 North Broadway in Denver. That's the other side of the interstate north of here. It's a real nice place. They have good steaks and good food. We're going to be sitting at the table ordering off the menu. So everybody is welcome, especially for the exhibitors and guests of the exhibitors, or guests of, if you're just a guest at the show and want to come to the banquet, we would love to have you there. So it's open for everybody. I want to point out, this is an interesting thing here. Horns going through a 3-foot gate. The way they do that is just magical to me. They dip their head down, stick one end out, and then they will go around, put their head up, and get the other end out. I'm always amazed at how they manage to do that. Gary pointed out to me, he said the reason this cow is kind of uppity like that is she's just ashamed of her brand. Her brand is Paintbrush D. For those of you who have been around in the Longhorn business here in Colorado for a long time, know what Paintbrush D is. That's the brand of Dickinson Cattle Company. Darrell Dickinson. Darrell Dickinson used to be a painter, actually. He used to paint pictures of horses and cows and everything. And on page 26 of your program, there's a real nice ad from the Dickinson Cattle Company. I'll bet that there are very few shows put on in Colorado of Texas Longhorn cattle that don't have a Paintbrush D brand on it. Darlene and I bought our first 2 cows from Daryl Dickinson. And I'll bet there's a whole bunch of you out there too who bought your first cows from Daryl Dickinson. As a matter of fact, my co-announcer here, Gary Lake, got his start, came from Illinois and moved out here as a young man and went to work for Daryl Dickinson. There are lots and lots of stories about Longhorns that involve Daryl Dickinson. As a matter of fact, that joke I told you about the guy, the cowboy who wore tennis shoes so he wouldn't be confused with a truck driver, that was a little bit of plagiarism. I stole that joke from Daryl Dickinson.
John, several years ago, Daryl moved the whole herd to Ohio. Got a beautiful place out there in Barnesville, Ohio, but he's not really gone. He's watching online today, and the first thing he called me and said, John's not loud enough. I can't hear him on the TV. And then he said, please tell Dr. June Corin that I like her hat. What were you wearing the last time Daryl saw you? Well, I have a great appreciation for Dickinson Cattle Company. I worked 18 years for Daryl, and I have a great appreciation for their cattle. You know, one of the things about the Texas Longhorn industry is that there's cows that pedigree of some pretty nice animals, but if you're going to reproduce time and time and time again, you got to have some deep pedigrees of the quality of cows that you're looking for. And one of the things about the Dickinson Cattle Company is after 50-some years in the breed, some of their bulls go back 40, 50 times to some of the great animals in this breed in their pedigrees, and it creates a genetic base that's very strong and causes them to reproduce like themselves or better. So that's why you see a lot of cattle here and there with the paintbrush D on them, because they raise some of the great ones in the industry. He's got an ad in the catalog. You know, we probably ought to mention again what some of our sponsors are. I know I don't do that enough when I'm announcing shows, but we've got several show sponsors, including the International Texas Longhorn Association is one of our show sponsors out of Glen Rose, Texas. As John mentioned, the TLBAA and the ITLA show together, and we get along, and we're proud of it. We're proud of it here in Colorado. Some of your Grand Champion buckle sponsors for your heifers are Cornelius Buckle Company of Anthony, New Mexico. If you're looking for some trophy buckles or some trophy saddles, those folks are Bodie and Wayne Bays and their wives, and your mature cows. Well, the buckle was sponsored by Christina Adams, announcer, but he's a tremendous he retrieves sponsors like nobody here. He knows everybody around town, and they always welcome him. Look forward to sponsoring the show every year. Like Tom Smith of Brunello LLC in Fort Collins sponsored the bulls. Steers are sponsored by none other than Clover Bloom Ranch. That's John and Darlene Nelson. And talking about brands that you recognize, you've seen that Clover Bloom come through a couple times in the ring. And they're not even showing cattle this year, but their cattle keep showing up at these shows year after year. Your halter shows, Walter Scott Jr., College of Engineering at Colorado State University, Fort Collins, sponsoring the halter bulls. The halter heifers are sponsored by the Freeman Jarnigan Partnership, the Freeman Ranch of Yoder, Colorado, and T-Squared Ranch of Holcomb. Sponsored by PNC Cattle Pens of Stillwell, Oklahoma. Now, once again, if you're looking for some handling equipment, whether it's pins, whether it's chutes, whether it's for the great people in the industry, great to deal with, a great sponsor of Texas Longhorn Cattle. You'll enjoy them if you're looking, and you'll get the kind of quality equipment at the price you want from PNC Cattle Pens in Stillwell, Oklahoma. All your youth sponsors are Travis Casey of Casey Ranch Longhorns in Yoder, Colorado. You won't be able to see Travis much today because he's out in the snow and the cold and the slush pushing cattle into you and doing a great job with him and his crew out there. And then also David and Jody Faley. David's just the recently retired secretary of the Mountain States Texas Longhorn Association. Did us a great job for several years. They're from Sedalia, Colorado. Then your class sponsors. Well, every class today was sponsored by Mike and Callie Smith of Cold Copper Ranch in Burnett, Texas. And I'm telling you, these folks have been buying and selling some of the highest priced fancy cows in the breed. They're great people. They love to sponsor things in the Longhorn industry. If we could have made it about 20 degrees warmer, I believe they'd have been here this year. But we're at the wrong time of year for them coming up out of the panhandle of Texas. And then Travis Casey Ranch is a class sponsor as well from Yoder, Colorado. Now, we've got one lady out there in the pen with the stick that's been taking care of everybody, making sure the judge has got what she needs, making sure cattle come in just right. She's spent hours and hours and hours putting this show together over the last year. She meets with the committees here at the National Western. She checks out the pins. She looks through all of the entries. She does all the paperwork. And that's Lana Pearson of Windy Point Longhorns in Fowler, Colorado. Listen, we could not do it without her. And then of all things, she brings a nice cow in here and just beats the daylights out of us with her too. We appreciate Lana Pearson. Right to my left here is John Nelson. He's Clover Blue Branch. His the better half right down here, Darlene, is the one that makes sure that John's on track, does the things he's supposed to be doing. They're from Wellington, Colorado. Great friends, longtime breeders of Texas Longhorn cattle. Nikki Adams was the one that was carrying around the raffle tickets, and Nikki's from Wildfire Ranch in Colorado Springs. She's doing it all on her own and raising some great cattle, and she's had some here today too. And then Travis Casey is also on your committee from Casey Ranch Longhorns in Yoder, Colorado. And then there's me. I'm Gary Lake from Silverado Ranch. My partner Stan Searle and I, we do the downtown trail drive. We do the Wild West shows up here. We have a good time at the National Western and make sure that the Texas Longhorn is in the forefront every day that folks are here.
Let's put our hands together for all of these volunteers. Folks, they wouldn't be a show here if it wasn't for all of these volunteers. And you folks have really put together a wonderful show, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm real pleased with this group of mature cows that we have out here. I think you could take any of these girls home, be really pleased with them. They'd be wonderful cows to add to your herd and be a foundation for any herd. There's one cow out here that I think just kind of puts everything together for me. I like them all. If I was going to take one home today, it would be the 1001. She'll be our champion mature cow today. I just love her cleanliness. She is just a beautiful, clean cow. I love her horns. Her top line is so nice. She's long-bodied. She carries in a lot of depth in her flank, and really, really sound on her feet and legs. So our 1001 mature cow will be our champion mature cow today. mature cow. The little short-tailed cow is not in the running for this. The second place winner out of Class 10 is this red and white, or the white with the red spots cow. For our reserve grand champion, I'm going to use the young cow. I'm going to use the 801 female. I just think she is really complete. It's this red and white heifer right here. I just think she's really, really complete. She is just a big, massive girl. She is just as level as she can be. Yeah, maybe we could clean her navel flap up a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. I just love her horns. She's got a huge base, huge wide tip-to-tip spread there, and I just think she's a beautiful cow. So she will be, 801 will be our reserve grand champion mature cow. Again, congratulations to the breeders of our grand and reserve grand champion mature females.
Okay, our champion mature cow is 1001, which is Shia, owned by Travis Casey of Yoder. And reserve champion mature cow is number 801, Premier Doll, owned by Jordan Jarnigan in Deerfield, Kansas. Okay, we are now in class 201. These are young bulls, bulls born April through June of 2022. There should be 5 in the class, and there are 5 out there, so the class is complete.
So we're now moving into our bull show, or I'm going to call these prospect bulls, because these guys they're just weanlings. They were born in the spring and summer of 2022, so they're not even a year old yet. And these are truly prospect bulls. And as we were commenting, they were just weaned a little bit ago. This is unusual for me. I'm not accustomed to seeing bulls being judged loose. I kind of like this. This is nice. We're going to start today with this red and white lineback bull, number 12. I like this calf. He's not the biggest framed calf out here, but I think he's probably one of the heaviest muscled animals out here. When you get in behind him, he moves out nice and wide. He's, again, conformationally really sound. I like how clean he is. I like the cleanliness in his sheath. There's no excessive skin there at the sheath. And then as you look at his horn development, it is coming backwards. And we like to see backward horn development in bulls because that suggests that we're going to see width. He's got a nice base on his horns as well. And I just think this is a nice, complete bull calf here in our Prospect Bull Show, and he'll be our first place winner. Second place is going to be the number 13. He's the biggest framed bull and probably the heaviest bull out here. He's certainly well muscled. There's a couple things with him that I just would like to change. His horn development is certainly okay. I don't like the excess skin that I see on him. He's got a lot of extra skin down at his sheath. in my experience, I've never seen that go away, and it's not a major problem. However, it is something that we try to select against, but it's certainly a really nice muscular bull. He'll do some herds a lot of good and a good-looking kind of guy. Of course, you know, he is my favorite color, which is the brindle stripe. Third place is going to be number 14, which is this other big-framed brindle calf. You got to, again, admire his height. He's a nice long-bodied fellow. He gives up a little bit of thickness. When you get in behind him, he's a little narrower made. He doesn't track out quite as wide there through the rear. Again, really nice horn development for him, nice length of horn. Fourth place is going to go to the red bull with the white underline here, the number 15. Again, real pretty little bull calf. He is one of the youngest calves out here, just giving up a little frame size to the ones above him. And then the youngest calf that's out here, number 11, unfortunately just kind of drew a hard lot today. He's the smallest framed and the lightest boned. He's also, though, about 2 months younger than the others. So, again, I think as a prospect bull, he merits keeping an eye on, but he just kind of gets overpowered out here today. So, again, thank you for bringing your prospect bulls. Let's give all of these exhibitors a big hand.
Okay, that was Class 201, Young Bulls. In first place is number 12, Saddle Stop, owned by Travis Casey in Yoder, Colorado. Second place was number 13, Windy Point J.R. Rurally Screwed by Lana Pearson in Fowler, Colorado. Third place goes to number 14, Bristol Agogo, owned by Regina Caulfield in Boone, Colorado. And fourth place goes to number 15, Close Game, owned by Silverado Ranch, Monument, Colorado. And fifth place is TCR Handsome Stranger, owned by Jeff and Jordan Widows, Johnstown, Colorado. Next, we'll be bringing in Class 202, which are young bulls born January through March of 2022. There will be 4 in the class, and there I see 4 coming out, and one of them's got a ring in his nose. Okay, the class is complete.
So again, our second class of prospect bulls, and actually this is our last class of bulls today. We're going to start with this bull calf number 22 here. These calves were born in February and March of 22, so again, they're 10 to 11 months old. Certainly the largest frame bull that's out here. He's in good condition. He's got good muscling, and again, just nice and clean on the around the sheath and the underline. You know, if I could change him a little bit, I'd maybe angle his horns down, but they're certainly coming out and they're starting to twist just a little bit. So nice bull to start our class with. Our next two bulls, we're going to use the bull number 24, which is the one to my left. It's the red and white bull. He will be our second place bull. You have to, again, admire this bull's top line. He is nice and level. He's got good horn development. I like his muscle development. I particularly like his cleanliness. He's, again, nice and tight through that sheath. He doesn't have a lot of extra skin on the underline and going up through his brisket and his neck. Moves out nice. He'll be our second place bull. Third place will be the number 23. This is the bull right here in front of me. Same thing. You got to appreciate the base on his horns. Structurally, he's quite sound. Again, he moves out well. He tracks when you watch him walk. He just gives a little bit up as far as some cleanliness there around his sheath. And our fourth place bull is the entry number 21. He's the youngest bull. Actually, he's not the youngest bull, but he is one of the younger bulls in the class. He's just given up a little bit of frame size and development today. He's just, again, kind of gotten overpowered by the three boys above him. So let's put our hands together again. Thank you for bringing these prospect bulls out in our non-haltered bull show.
Okay, that was class 202, bulls born January through March 2022. In first place is number 22, Windy Point RT Claw Checks, owned by Lana Pearson in Fowler. Second place is number 24, Patriot Justice, owned by Travis Casey in Yoder, Colorado. Third place is MMB Dusted Wrangler, owned by Martin's Mad Blonde Ranch, Wiggins, Colorado. And fourth place is number 21, TCR Contented Sweet, owned by Jeff and Jordan Winnows in Johnstown, Colorado. Okay, now we're going to choose the champion bull and then the reserve champion bull.
It's kind of fun looking at the future of the breed here. You know, we have shows all over the country now called Longhorn Futurities, heifer and bull futurities as well, where animals are judged one at a time instead of in groups, and they're scored each time they go through, and the winner comes to the top at the end of them. And the idea is that we're looking at the future of the Longhorn breed. We're looking at what the next up-and-coming bull is, the next up-and-coming female, and we're judging them at an age where it's difficult to judge sometimes. You're looking at pieces and parts instead of the total package a lot. And that's what our judge is doing here today. She's not just looking at a Longhorn bull, but she's looking at what she believes is going to be a herd sire of the future. Sometimes, you know, I've had a couple of judges tell me that they come right down to the last two, and boy, it's a tough decision, and they make the decision on the one that they would take home and use in their own herd. And that's exactly what this is about. What would you want? What do you want? What are you trying to raise? And what would you take home and use of your own? You want to just wait and see who wins here and pick the winner out of the tussle?
Well, again, we're just looking at some youngsters, and they will definitely change. There are certain things that I look for with them that I think don't change. You know, we talked about cleanliness, not having that extra skin there at the sheath. I think just natural thickness never changes. If they're thick at this age, they're going to be nice, thick, wide bulls when they grow up. I try not to get too particular about horns at this age. If you come to my farm, yes, I love big-horned cattle, but I don't always have big-horned cattle, and we use and we work with that. I think with bulls, you've got to be structurally sound. And again, I don't have any faults with any of these calves that I've seen today. They're just as structurally sound as they can be. We're going to use the bull number 22 as our overall champion bull here today. Again, he is certainly the largest frame bull, the heaviest boned bull that's out here. If I could change him at all, I just would lay his horns down a little bit. But I think he's a really nice herd sire prospect, certainly worthy of growing him out and watching how he grows and develops. He's a beautiful guy. I went ahead and selected our reserve. Our reserve is actually the younger lineback bull, number 12, that was out of the first class. I think this, again, is a really structurally sound, nice, wide-moving bull. I love his horns. I like how they're laying right now. They're laying down and going back, and he just slides right into that reserve slot. So, again, congratulations. Thank you guys for bringing out your herd sire prospects and bringing them into the arena today.
Okay, that's our champion bull is number 22, which is Windy Point Claw Checks, owned by Lana Pearson. And reserve champion bull is number 12, which is Saddle Stop, owned by Travis Casey. Congratulations, Lana, you won a buckle.
Okay, we are about to enter the fun part of the Texas Longhorn Show. The next group of animals you're going to see aren't producers. Well, they're just for show. These steers are going to start out with the young ones here, and they're going to grow and grow and grow until you get some mature steers at the end. There will be some massive horned, big animals that will absolutely knock your eyes out if you were driving along a pasture. You'd want to stop and take pictures of them, and that's what the Longhorn breed's all about. So this is going to be a fun deal. Here come the Longhorn steers.
So we're going to start our steer show now, and we'll probably have some audience participation as we go through this. So how many of you guys watched the Junior Market Steer Show yesterday? Yeah, so we got to we watched that, and that's what I did growing up. I was into the Angus deal and the Junior Market steers, and then I did lambs and all that good stuff, and then we still do it, and that's really fun, and I enjoy watching it. And I did make a trip over to the Brown Palace this morning, and I watched those boys walk in the lobby, and that was really exciting. So Longhorn steers aren't like that at all. Totally different. It's not what we're looking for. Longhorn steers are living, breathing business cards. They're our business cards. We put the Longhorn steers in the front pasture because we want people to slam on their brakes and then get in a little tiny fender bender and then say, oh my God, look at the color. Look at how big that one is. Look at the horns on that. I really like that. I think I'll stop and ask. And that's what steers are for us. So steers have to be conformationally sound. My last trophy steer was 2 months shy of 23 when he died. And I miss him every day, and I have a painting of him on my wall at home. But he was 2 months shy of 23, and he was sound. So we're looking for structural correctness. And as I said before, there are business cards. So we want flashy markings and flashy color. And obviously, we want horn that attracts attention. So that's why I'm telling you all this, because I think you guys can place them like I do. So this is your starter class. So we only put one out here. So who do you think should get first? 32. Yay! Put your hands together. 32 will be our winner. So there's a lot of things that you have to like about this guy. First off, he was born in March of last year, so he's only 10 months old, not even quite 10 months old. He's already getting a bunch of horns. Look how much his horns are about twice the length of his ears, and that's fantastic. They're really starting to grow. He's nice and neat on his feet and legs. He's got good feet. He stands nice and square. And then as we look at his color, he's pretty flashy. I think he might brindle up just a little bit. It's hard to tell with the long hair, but he's got some darker markings in this red. Again, if I was going to change him a little bit, I'd tighten up that sheath. But I think he's a really pretty little steer, and he'll be fun to grow and see if he turns into a big old trophy steer. So congratulations to the breeders of number 32 and his first place win today. You can put your hands together again for those folks.
Yeah. So that was Class 301, Junior Steers, born January to July 2022. That one is number 32, MMB Enough Mojo, owned by Martin's Mad Blonde Ranch, Wiggins, Colorado. Okay, this is Class 302, Junior Steers born in 2019 and 2020.
So we have two different types of steers out here. Again, both of them are very attractive, and they're going to make great trophy steers. Today, I'm going to use entry number 41, the black and white steer down here, as our class winner. So I love the conformation of this guy. I like his height. I like how he is on his rear. He's got good angulation there in the stifle. He tracks out really nice. I love the color pattern. I love the black and white. Now, that does not look like a Holstein. That is very obviously a Longhorn. Got that beautiful heart there on his forehead. And I love the horns. So we didn't talk about horns a lot with the cows because we really didn't have any black and white cows. But if you notice, he's got more of a white base to his horn and then a black tip. And again, that's just a really neat, unique, it's a unique look that we see with the black and white cattle. He's going to have a little bit of height to the horn, but again, they're starting to twist as they go out. I love the base that we see on there. Again, just looking at his feet, he looks like he's kind of been out on some soft ground. His front toes are a little bit long, but he's still tracking really nice. Second place will go to the entry number 42, and I love the tip-to-tip on this guy's horns. Beautiful, wide horns. They're going to really stretch and grow. Same thing, he looks like maybe he's been on some soft ground. He's a little long on his front toes. I would just maybe like to give him a little more height and a little more bone. But I think, again, a beautiful steer, the red and white color. Again, it's not a Simmental. It's not a Red Angus. It's a Longhorn. You can tell by the color pattern. But beautiful horns, and both of these guys are certainly nice trophy steers. They'll be fun to watch them as they grow. Again, congratulations. Trophy steers are harder to travel with because they take up a lot of space. So let's really put our hands together for our steer exhibitors. You know, it takes a lot of effort to get these guys here to the show. So this is another group of senior steers. These guys, the bigger steer was born in 2017, and the smaller frame steer was born in 2018. So we're going to use the 52, the bigger steer, as first place in this class. Got to really admire the horns on both of these guys. Look at the base of the horn on this steer. This is phenomenal. Couple things I'll draw your attention to as well. As these steers are maturing, you'll notice that they start to carry more weight in the front. They really develop a really large shoulder, a lot of shoulder musculature, a lot of neck musculature to carry those horns. For those of you that aren't familiar with longhorns, that is like a leg or a hoof. It is bone, it is filled with bone marrow, and then covered with keratin material like a hoof. So if they break, it's like breaking a leg. Frankly, if they break, the animals can actually bleed to death in some situations. So there is a fair amount of weight there, although again, it's filled with bone marrow, it's not solid bone. They are not antlers, they do not fall off. As you've seen, all of our animals have horns, but the steers get the biggest horns, and like we said, these are the guys that are living, breathing business cards. I like the size of this steer. I like his color pattern. I like the spots and the speckles. One thing that I'll call attention to him too, he has dark pigment around his eyes. If you notice that the red speckles that are on his belly, that red carries up to the hair and the skin that's around his eyes. He is really good on his feet and legs. He's moving out nice. He takes a nice big stride. He's got a big foot under him to carry all this weight. Our second place steer, man, look at the horns on this guy. They are down, they are out. They're probably well over 100 inches. Has anybody measured him? They're nice, beautiful horns. 94, okay, looks great. Beautiful steer, a little smaller framed, but in some situations that works out just fine. He just gives up a little bit on color pattern to me today. He's a beautiful yellow cream color. I don't know what his name is, but you could name him Creamsicle. That'd be a great name because he's a beautiful color. He just gives up a little bit of the flashiness to the steer that's above him. But again, thank you guys for bringing these big, giant trophy steers out today. Let's give everybody a big hand. So entry number 61 is a single entry class. This steer was born in 2015, so he's a 7-year-old. And again, you can really see as these guys are maturing, look how much taller he's gotten. He's really growing. Again, a lot of width there to the horn. You have to really appreciate the beautiful black and white speckles on this guy. So he will be our first place winner in class 304. So again, congratulations for bringing this big guy out today. We're now going to bring all of our first place steers back in, and we will select our champion and reserve champion non-haltered steer.
Okay, in class 303, first place was Cross V Mustache, owned by Russell Freeman. That's quite a bit of horn on that old steer. And then second place was the Sundance Kid 80, owned by Chris Johnson, Bighorn, Wyoming. And then in the other class, class 304, the winner, first place was Chicago 15-5, owned by Russell Freeman. So now is where we're really going to have some interesting judging. We're going to be choosing the champion and reserve champion steer out of these. And the grand champion steer buckle is sponsored by Clover Bloom Ranch, Wellington, Colorado, home of the Wellington Grill.
Well, before I select our grand champion and reserve grand champion steers, again, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to Denver to the National Western Stock Show. It's an impressive show, and even more impressive are the folks that I've had the opportunity to work with. It says a lot about the Longhorn breeders out here, that there isn't any rivalry, that the TLBAA and the ITLA can work together to put on such a nice show. And it is an important event. The Longhorns are a major part of the stock show, from the opening cattle drive to the displays that we see and the other parades that they've been in. So I really want to thank the folks and the volunteers and the organizers of this event for inviting me and for putting on such a wonderful, wonderful show. If you will join me in giving them a big hand. So trophy steers, like I said, it takes a lot of work to bring a trophy steer to a show. They take up a lot of space. It takes a lot of work to have trophy steers at home because they eat a lot of feed. But there's nothing cooler than having a big old Longhorn trophy steer at your farm. I think any of these steers have wonderful opportunities to go out and just be, again, the living, breathing word of Longhorns out here. From this little guy right here, look, buddy, you got a lot of growing to do, but you know what? You're going to do it. And we've got youngsters and then the ones that are 6 and 7 years old. Today, I'm going to select number 52 as our champion trophy steer or champion steer here today. I really, really like the horn shape and size on this guy. He's conformationally sound, and I just think he's a super nice trophy steer. For our reserve, I'm going to use the number 61 from the other class. Just a little older steer. Love the color on him. I love the black and white spots. Little different horn shape. Just, I don't know why I'm jumping back. It's not like I don't live with Longhorns at home. Mine just don't have this big of horns. But we love this big steer. He's, again, really conformationally sound. Love the horn shape with him. Super nice steers. So thank you guys for bringing them. And again, thank you for inviting me here to the Longhorn Show. Once again, let's thank all of the breeders, the ranchers that have come out, slept through all the snow and the bad weather to bring these beautiful cows here.
Okay, well, that's the grand champion and reserve champion. The grand champion is number 52, Cross V Mustache, owned by Russell Freeman. I'll point out that and then number 2 is 61, Chicago 15-5, owned by Russell Freeman, too. So Russell Freeman's going to win a buckle. But I'll point out couple interesting things. The 52, his sire is Cowboy Tough Chucks. Cowboy Tough Chucks at the time was well over 105 inches of horn, sold for $145,000, and is one of the longest horned bulls in the industry at that time. As a matter of fact, made it into the Guinness Book of World Records. Number 61, Chicago 15-5, was sired by Top Caliber. Top Caliber at the time was the longest longhorn bull in the industry during his time. So anyway, that's it for the National Western Texas Longhorn Show for today, the non-haltered show. Tomorrow will be the haltered show. And also, don't forget the banquet. The banquet is going to be at the Mickey's Sirloin Restaurant on Broadway, 6950 North Broadway. And I hope we'll see you all there. Thanks and goodbye. See you.